Inspiring interviews with today's top landlords. This is the Rental Income Podcast. And now, Dan Lane.
Joe, tell me what your rentals have done for you.
It has been life-changing. Just probably after 25 rental properties, I was able to leave my job, found our financial freedom number. It's allowed us to go on vacations. Really, it's just provided financial freedom, time freedom, and hopefully one day location freedom.
On the podcast today, we're going to figure out how Joe did this. I want to figure out what kinds of properties he's buying. I want to find out where he got the money from to get started and how he financed his portfolio. We'll take a look at the types of deals he's buying, and I also will go over all of his numbers and figure out how much money he's profiting from his rental properties. Joining us on the show today from Kansas City is Joe Blackshere. We'll take a quick break to thank our sponsors. We'll come right back and we'll talk to Joe. It's a lot of work to find a really good rental property, and when you actually find that property, you want to make sure you're working with a lender that can get that loan closed. The lender that I recommend is Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group. She's a nationwide lender, and her specialty is helping investors finance rental properties. She has a ton of loan programs, and she can find something customized to you for your situation. If you want to find out more or you're ready to get started today, just go to ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE lendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. Do you ever feel like you're using too many tools to manage your rentals, or maybe you're struggling to manage your rental finances? I wanted to introduce you to a platform to help you simplify your rental property finances. It's BaseLane. BaseLane is a rewarding banking platform where you can consolidate your rental finances while earning cash back and a high interest rate. BaseLane also doesn't charge any hidden fees like traditional banks do. BaseLane is also a rent collection platform where you can automate your rent collection so that you get paid on time every month and you're not wasting your time chasing down late payments. BaseLane is also a simple and easy-to-use accounting platform where you can categorize your transactions and monitor your cash flow. BaseLane is an all-in-one platform designed to help you manage your real estate business and save you time and money. The best part about it, it's totally free. You can learn more and sign up today. Just go to baselane.com. That's BASELANE.com. Baselane.com.
Rental Income Podcast.
Joe, let's start off talking about your portfolio. Can you tell me what it looks like?
Our portfolio, it mainly consists of single-family homes. We have probably 4 to 5 duplexes, but they're all within 25 miles of our primary residence, which is in Lee Summit, Missouri, which is around Kansas City, Missouri.
And what are the neighborhoods like that the properties are in?
Well, we do have probably our second property we ever purchased, I would say, is probably in like a C- neighborhood. And that's one that we are actually selling to the current resident. She's almost got it paid off. But the rest of them are really in blue-collar neighborhoods, B-class neighborhoods and above. So we have, as we've gone through our investor journey, we've kind of leveled up the properties that we've owned.
Okay, so just moving to better properties and in better neighborhoods as you had more money and were able to make those purchases?
Yeah, I'm kind of a believer, and my wealth mentor talks to me a lot about just, controlling the quantity of properties you own, but improving the quality along the way. So with the eventual goal, owning properties that will appreciate well. And it really just, your journey, you're going to probably be at different stages. I've been in an acquisition stage for, some time, and I'm slowly kind of leveling up the properties, like $240,000 level home, price point homes in nice neighborhoods that appreciate well, long-term tenants, hopefully, good rental rates.
Well, let's kind of talk about the timeline on how you did this. 'Cause I think what you've accomplished here with your portfolio is pretty incredible. So when you first got started and you had rental number one, was your plan to eventually leave your job?
Actually, I absolutely loved my job and saw myself retiring from there at the normal retirement age of like 64, 65. It wasn't anything I started with early retirement in my mind, really. It was just to, um, and in that first property we bought was actually somebody else's flip. We probably overpaid as far as investors go, but today we still have the same resident in that home, which was 8 years ago, staying in that same home. So that's been a really good, I guess, investment over time. And really, it was just a matter of doing something different with the money. We were, invested fully into our 401k. We had some Roth IRAs going, and it's just something I wanted to do because some of the most successful people I knew owned real estate, and that's what really encouraged me to get started.
And then how long did it take you before you were able to leave your job? I guess how many properties did you need?
So I left my job. It was about 7 years after getting started, and we had 25 doors.
25, okay. And how many doors are you at right now?
Right at 24. We sold one, and then I've got 3 projects going on right now, and probably one is definitely a flip and is live on the market, and then 2 more are most likely going to be rentals.
Okay.
They're just not done yet.
So when you're looking to buy a property, is there like a certain dollar amount that you're looking for in it to make a deal work? Or like what exactly are you looking for?
Well, I really like 3-bedroom, 1-bath, and I want them to be, within 25 miles of my personal home because I do manage them myself. And as far as like the numbers go, if it's getting harder for them to cash flow, but I used to always use, a lot of people use $500 per door, or they have some minimum magic number. For me, $300 is good if I can make it be a good deal. Where I'm at today, I really want to not leave a lot of my own capital into each home. So I'm using the Burr Method a lot more.
When you were buying properties, like when you were looking for 300 to 500 a door, is that after the mortgage payment, or is that 300 to 500 after you've budgeted for repairs and other expenses?
I probably would put in a maintenance, vacancy, expenses related, under maintenance, but a minimal amount. I'm not super conservative, and mainly because, both my wife and we both had W-2s, and I just felt like ramp up as quickly as possible with good deals and decent deals, and then be able to have cash flow to, if a furnace goes out, just use the cash flow for that month to pay for it that month.
All right, well, let's take a look at some numbers here. Let's look at your portfolio. So when you add up the rent for your entire portfolio, and I realize you're going to have some vacancy here and there, but how much on an average month, how much rent do you bring in?
On average, we use $28,000 of monthly revenue for our rent calculations. Yeah.
Okay. And so then for your fixed expenses, for your mortgage, taxes, insurance, how much does that come out to be every month?
Right at 20,000.
20,000. Okay, so you've got about $8,000 before any repairs or expenses, and so you mentioned that when things come up, you just pay for it out of the cash flow for that month.
That is correct.
Okay. So are you budgeting anything for repairs, or is it just not a significant thing to plan for?
Well, definitely, I think when you're making decisions to purchase, and you have very few properties, it's important to budget for those things. For us personally, I generally take 20% and calculate that those are going to go towards unexpected expenses throughout each month. Doesn't always happen.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about how you did this. So when you were first getting started, like where did you get the initial money from to buy your first property?
Yeah, so it is really hard to save money to come up with a down payment, 25%. So we couldn't have done that with a young family. we actually refinanced our home, and we got about $80,000 just, by starting over on our mortgage. We were in year 12 of a 15-year mortgage. We took out $80,000, did a cash out refinance, had the exact same payment, but started back three more years, and that's how we got started, was with a cash out refinance on our primary home.
So with that initial $80,000, did you buy a property with cash, or was that a down payment for multiple properties?
I think we got up to 4 doors with that initial influx of money, and we did both. We did down payments on the first rental property that we purchased. It was on the MLS. We did probably a 20 or 25% down payment. The next house I bought for $8,000, and it didn't need much fix up at all to have it rented. And then the next couple of properties we probably did down payments on as well.
Okay. And then how did you keep going from there? Like, where were you getting the money from to get up to 25 properties?
So we kind of just we both worked W-2 jobs. So we used the savings from those jobs to continue to add more properties. Any cash flow, we just kind of reinvested into the ability to leverage and buy more properties. And that's how we were able to continue to grow. Probably one of the best ways we continued to grow was once we had a good amount of equity built back into our primary residence, probably a few years after we cashed out, we got a home equity line of credit. And then we used that amount to really grow our portfolio. And with it being a revolving line of credit, we were able to use that money to purchase homes with leverage and then pay it off quickly, and then go back and do it again and again and again.
Wow. Okay. So this is a home equity line of credit on your primary residence?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
We were able to get a $70,000 home equity line of credit just a short time after we did that cash out refinance.
Yeah. You know what's really, I think, incredible about this is it seems like your primary house was really the driver to make you, to help you build this portfolio.
It 100% was. Yep, absolutely. Wow. And I talked to people a lot about that, about, if you're not interested in moving or selling your home, but you're sitting on this ton of equity, why don't you consider turning it over while you live there, mm-hmm. and build something, or, do something with it that can better your family's life, or, and definitely. And then for us, after using it so many times to grow this portfolio, when it came time to sell that primary residence, it was at zero balance. And so
you had paid off the house by the time you sold it?
The line of credit.
The line of credit was at zero. Okay,
balance.
wow.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you would take the line of credit, you would take that cash, buy a property with it, and then you're using the rents and your whatever savings you had from your job and mm-hmm. just paying that down. And then once it was paid down, then you would just borrow it again and buy something else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. That's so simple. It's so simple, but you built a $4 million portfolio using that strategy. I think that's really incredible. Now tell me about finding deals, because this is something else that's always a challenge. How have you found the deals that you've ended up buying?
Well, a lot of ours have been off the MLS, and I don't know if I would say they're deals per se. We were really busy in our jobs and with our family, so we really didn't, do a lot of direct to seller marketing, which is where you're going to find your best deals. And it wasn't until recently that I started buying from wholesalers, and those have been really good deals, really deep discounts as well. That house I bought for cash, the second house we ever bought, that was direct from an owner, and I bought it for like $8,000, and it was probably worth $30,000. Today it's worth $60,000. But really, I worked with different agents and found things off the MLS, and I found some from Facebook, from like tired landlords, if you will, and we were able to grow sometimes 2 houses at once. in that regard from landlord friends.
Wow, so like
But
you weren't
yeah,
you weren't getting like ridiculous deals. I mean, you were just buying properties. It sounds like pretty close to market value.
well, in some cases, definitely that first house we bought was market value. We didn't exactly know what we were doing. There's a joke that I have a meme in my presentations that I share. It's like Albert Einstein that says, "I see you're an investor, but public records show you paid full price." So I say that first house we weren't really investors. We were just ready to go, and we had
Yeah.
probably lost out on a bid on some other retail ready houses, and from the advice we got, it's like, oh, we need to make a full list price offer. And we're like, okay, let's do it. We want to win the house, and we've got
Yeah.
renters in pocket to go into it. But yeah, then after that, I'm looking at the ones we bought, and I've got them here in order. We bought the house for cash, which I know we got a good deal on. My third property I bought was a bank owned property, and I know I bought that well below because it needed a lot of work. I've bought houses subject to using the subject to method early in my investor journey. I've used a lot of different sources to find and acquire the properties we have. And then I've used multiple different strategies to either fund the acquisition cost or get creative with buying direct from the seller, things like that.
Are you still buying properties today?
I am, yeah. I slowed down on like adding rentals because we were at a comfortable number. So I think last year I added 5 last year, and then this year I've added 3 projects, if you will, starting in July. So I didn't buy anything for the first 7 months, and then I bought a flip in July, and then just most recently, within the past month, I've bought 2 more project houses, and either one of those they could be flips. They most likely I'm going to burr out of them, but they all need a lot of work. And that's kind of what I want my focus to be going forward, is to buy properties that need a lot of work. So then I can refinance them and get them, leave very little of my own capital into them,
Mhm.
or sell them as a flip, and then I've got some real specific goals with what I'm doing with real estate right now, and that's one of them is to help my wife retire early. I retired at I was 45. I use retire really loosely, obviously, because I'm really busy, but
Yeah.
from my long-term job.
Well,
And so my wife, go ahead.
I think that's the great thing about this is that you retired from your 9 to 5 job, but now you're doing work that you want to do.
You're absolutely right. Like, I have more freedom of what I choose to do each day. And, my office I live on a beautiful lake home. My office overlooks the lake, and I'm here with my dogs, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love, visiting job sites and making plans and doing all that, and helping people with their real estate journeys. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, it's just definitely a lot of fun for me.
it's just incredible. And what I love about your story is that you did this by tapping into your home equity. And I mean, you've recently been buying fixer uppers, but it sounds like you're getting started. At least you were buying just regular properties. Like you weren't getting properties for pennies on the dollar or doing any kind of crazy techniques to buy these properties. You were doing a lot of 20% down payments. I feel like this is something that anybody could do. And it's really awesome that you're doing so well with this. Now, with going forward, with the rates being higher now than they were when you got started, has that been a challenge at all?
Yeah. I just refinanced a property, and I needed to do it for specific reasons that we don't need to get into, but and it went from like under 5% to 9.25%. And that property now cash flows like $150. And so it is going to be a challenge for sure. I work with some clients. We've had to really fight some appraisals on how much rent amount we thought some properties would get that we had under contract, because he's using a debt service coverage ratio loan. And so you just really have to know your numbers and work your numbers when making offers to make sure depending on the loan type you're getting, that your property is going to cash flow. But I think really, like investors, they just need to keep their eyes open for opportunities. That's what an investor is, and then solve problems. Mm-hmm. So you may have to shift and adjust and be flexible in this market, but there's going to always continue to be opportunities, I do believe. And I also firmly believe that the best time to buy real estate is now. The second best, is yesterday. The second best time is now. And then, the common adage, don't wait to buy real estate and wait.
Yeah.
And so just continuously buy, you're kind of like continuously invest. Your average cost, will even out.
That is some good advice. Well, if anybody is interested in investing in Kansas City, Joe is a realtor and he'd be happy to help you find a deal. I've got his contact information on the website. You can find it at rentalincomepodcast.com/episode 445. I'd like to thank Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group for sponsoring today's episode. Chaley is a nationwide lender, and her specialty is helping investors finance rental properties. She has a ton of different loan programs, and she can find something that'll work for you in your situation. If you want to talk to Chaley or maybe even have her look at a deal that you're thinking about buying, you can set up a time to talk to her by going to ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE. lendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit the follow or subscribe button, depending on what platform you're listening on, and you'll get notified every single Tuesday when I put out a new episode. My name is Dan Lane, and this has been the Rental Income Podcast.